When they came out with crack, I knew it was time for me to stop because people were falling dead. And I thank the Lord that I had a praying auntie that was like my mother that prayed for me. I prayed for me, and I got delivered. But yes, it was an epidemic, and and once again, I feel like even today, my story is that the government put it here
Of
to
course.
destroy
I mean, that's a
us.
proven fact.
And at the end of the day,
CIA.
it was white collar judges, lawyers, doctors, everyone smoking cocaine or snorting cocaine. It wasn't just the black population. It took over, and it was definitely an epidemic at that time. And I'm like I said, everybody named mama and they daddy was using cocaine in some type of way.
So when it hit, you said in like 86?
Yes.
So it hit San Bernardino in 86, and you had 2 kids.
I had 2 kids.
2 girls.
That's
Like,
right.
what was that like? Like, for you to already be a mother, you didn't really do any hard. Come on, ma. You didn't really do no hard drugs before that, and then here come this crack or cocaine that hit the neighborhood. Like, what went through your mind? Like, okay, I got these kids, but I'm getting high.
Well, at that time, I lived in an apartment complex called the Meadowbrooks. Actually, it was 3 stories high. It kind of reminded me a lot of the movie New Jack City. But during that time, it was like everybody in the complex was either selling cocaine or either smoking cocaine.
Or both.
So easy. So like they were having crack parties and
right,
you
it
just
was
fall
like,
in there
okay,
like, ooh, what's that?
Eventually, I fell into that because you know what? I thought it was free. I got, at that time,
They was giving it to
you
you
was
to
free to
get
get your ass
but
hooked.
at the end of the day, nothing's free because you're going to have to pay for that one way or the other.
Yeah.
And so it
You
wasn't
sold box
free.
for crack before, Mom? You sold your box for crack? Yo, vagina.
Oh, no.
The first time I smoked weed, it was
no.
free.
I had a lot of
Free.
crack. It wasn't crack. Like I said, I didn't smoke crack, but cocaine didn't have me to where I wanted to sell my food stamps.
Or sell your
I
kids.
wanted to sell my body. I had a car. I had a furnished apartment. I had, everything that I needed. It was just the fact that the drug was there. And like I said, I thought it was free because people were giving it to me. But at the end of the day, nothing is free. You're going to have to pay for something some way, somehow, or sometime.
Yeah.
So what was the breaking point for you to
that's the cut in right there. Cause like that happened to somebody I know. You know what I'm saying? Where a man pretty much gave her crack to pretty much control her. Like, who the fuck want a crackhead for their woman? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's
a
crazy.
weak ass man?
That shit crazy.
Period.
That shit crazy.
So what was the breaking point, Mom? Like, what was it like that made you, I can't do this no more?
My breaking point was when Auntie, my aunt, your great aunt, told me that if I didn't get my life together, and I just talked about this the other day with my sister-in-law, we were sitting back reminiscing, and she told me if I didn't get my life together, she was going to take all 3 of my kids. And that was definitely a wake-up call for me because I know that I couldn't bear the fact of losing my kids. And she was always praying for me, and she would tell me to sit down and read the Bible. And I know it was her prayers and me sitting there reading.
Well, you was
Bible.
doing something. You wasn't just you was functioning, but you was demonstrating something for Auntie to say, I will take your kids if you don't stop with this behavior.
I was a mess. I mean, I held it together. I had my house, my apartment, car. But I mean, looking at myself, I was skinny. I lost weight.
Man.
I looked bad, and she knew that wasn't the type of person that I was because she raised me at the age of 13, and it took over me. It took over everybody. But at the same time, my breaking point was when she told me if I didn't get my life together, that she would take all 3 of my kids and you would never get them back. Man. And that was my breaking point. And that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to straighten my life out and I'm going to get off this. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And there was times when I got high and I would turn around and I would cry and I would pray. And
That's how you know better.
and that's when I knew, and eventually, and I would get on my knees and pray, and I asked God to deliver me. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm a witness as to what God will do. I didn't have to go to no rehab. I didn't have to go to the hospital where I seen people going to rehab and going to hospitals to get off of it. It was God's grace and the prayers that I had coming from my aunt, which was like my mother, and me starting to pray for myself that he delivered me from that drug. And I am a witness today that with his prayers, that's how I got delivered and got off of cocaine. Like I said, I didn't smoke crack. And I thank the Lord for that, because by the time some people call cocaine crack, cocaine. But no, when you're using dope and you like good dope because you had good dope, you know the difference.
And
It's like bad bitch weed or like dispensary weed.
But once again,
that's not it. That's not no. Crack is
cocaine.
Let me tell you, this what it is, Kay. We'll say this then. Crack came from cocaine. Because that's where,
Let me tell you one thing.
My
My definition about crack, and let me say this, and if you never experienced, you don't know. Cocaine, and I don't want to get on this conversation about drugs but if we're going to talk about it, let's be real. But crack was what people were taking and mixing anything and everything
baking soda
to make a so-called drug. Cocaine was mixed with straight baking soda.
They watered it down. That's what they did.
They were cutting it.
They valued it. They devalued it.
They kept cutting it.
You knew when you got cocaine, and you knew when the crack hit the same. Crack was killing people. When they take a hit, it would hit their heart and just kill them. I never seen cocaine do that.
That's when they wanted to shut the shit down.
So that's why I say there's definitely a difference between crack and cocaine.
But I remember, I don't know what you was doing at this time, but I remember being in elementary school, and like we lived in Rialto, which is it's bad parts of Rialto, California, but we lived in like a suburban kind of area. But we would go to the city, which would be like the west side of San Bernardino, like after school or whatever. And it would be me and my sisters sitting in the car, and my mom would be in the house. Getting high, I assume. But my mom had us with her. And she was so fucking gangster with it. We would be sitting in the car, and I'm the youngest of two, youngest amongst my sisters. So they would be like, Mimi, go in the house and go get mama, because we'll be in the car for hours.
But you guys didn't want to get out and go play.
We didn't want to play with them little ratchet-ass kids.
With the rest of the kids.
So
you were in a safe environment.
They would try to get me to go upstairs or go into the house and knock on the door in a room full of people getting high, to tell her to come on. But do y'all understand why my mom would keep us out hours, like sometimes 12, 1 in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning, but you was with me.
But we would still have to wake up and go to school. Like, she was... There was no, like, you staying home because I had you out. No, you gonna wake your ass up and you going to school.
Well, a lot
tired and all.
I ain't going to school.
And most of the time when you guys were out and with me, you were at a family member's house where I know
in the car.
Where I know that you were in the house sleeping and laying down, supposed to be laying down.
No, we wasn't making a pallet. We got beds at the crib. We making a pallet for it.
I'm talking about when I was out over to cousin Sharon's house.
No, it was a pallet situation.
Well, you should have been asleep so you can get up and go to school.
I'm talking about when we was in Delman Heights and at Gwen house. Like, we would be sitting in the car.
I didn't never keep y'all over there that late like that, Mimi. Not no 12, 1, 2 o'clock. No, that is not true.
Okay.
I know that for sure because that area was not safe. So there's no way that I'm going to keep y'all in the car 9 to 10 o'clock
at night. It probably wasn't that long, but we would be sitting in the car after school.
9 to 10 o'clock at night. No, that didn't happen. But you could have got out.
Somebody adding 10s to the story now.
You didn't want to get out. I'm not glorifying nothing. God saved me, delivered me, and I'm so happy about it. And I couldn't imagine,
So what is some of the biggest? What have your daughters taught you about yourself? Like, what did you learn about yourself when you became a mom?
Well, right now, the way when we talk and you guys tell me things, just like you said, the way I was cussing and this and that. And I wish that, well, I don't wish. I look at what you guys tell me, and I say, yeah, I could have been more compassionate. I could have sit down and talked to you more instead of yelling and screaming at you guys. And that's what, when you guys we talk now and you tell me that, yeah, I can see it, but at the same time, all I wanted was to do was for you guys to have the best, for me to protect you, keep you safe. Even though I did certain things, but I know you were safe with me. And by the same time, I just want to say that something I want to say, that when I came up, I didn't get hugs, and I had to sit down and listen to you guys now that I've gotten older, and then I can see why I did some of the things I did when you guys coming up.
You didn't receive that.
Because I didn't receive the hugs and the kisses and the
love.
And my father wasn't compassionate man, but I knew he loved all of us.
Affectionate.
He wasn't affectionate, but I know he loved all of us. I was like, I would go to my daddy, give me a kiss. Oh, I'll get back, Skeena. Move, he pushed me away, but I know he loved me, And so now that I talk to you guys, now that you guys got grown and, and we can sit down and talk sometimes without it being a heated argument, especially between me and
the other ones.
But
I'm good. We get over here.
I had to, listen to you guys now and see that maybe why, I did the things that I did, because I didn't receive it as a kid, and history does repeat itself if you don't wake up and recognize
the generational curses.
Or recognize, it wasn't like a curse. It was just the fact that
I think it is. I think when you don't know how to show people you love them and tell people, I think that creates a curse. That creates that hardness. Even growing, becoming an adult and a young woman and being married young and going into my marriage, like, I had to bring some of that shit down a little bit, because my husband would tell me, like, why you so hard? Like,
right.
Why you? And I would find myself, like, repeating what I saw, repeating how you and my dad would argue, and, trying to get into, like, the name calling. Like, that's the things that I had to, like, stop and, like, nip in the bud. Like, you can't do that. Like, that didn't work then, and it's not going to work now. And you have a man that is affectionate and wants to show you love. You got to be able to receive that and reciprocate that. So I just have to become aware of what I was doing and what I was perpetuating within my marriage, and stop doing that.
That's good that you recognize that, because, even though me and your daddy, we were not in an abusive relationship.
No.
We had a lot of good years, and when it did get to the point where it became abuse, it was like, let's just go our separate ways, because evidently the love is gone, and
the thrill is gone.
Thrill is gone. So, because when you love somebody, you don't want to hurt them. You don't call the person that you love bitches. That's not love, and I don't ever want that kind of love. And
or bitch ass niggas.
Right, or bitch ass niggas. So when you get to that point, then at that time, when you get to that point, the respect is gone, the love is gone, and if you can't overcome that and resolve it, then it's time to, for me, it's time to go separate ways. And so that's what happened with me and your father. Well, beginning back to my childhood, no, I didn't have the affection that I needed. And so I really, now from talking to you and to Tone and Shania, I didn't show you guys that a lot either. But now that probably was a generational curse, but the conversations that we have now has really made me look back and see that. And I can't change it. All we can do is try to get past it.
Try to be better.
And yes, and so, I mean, I look at and I really listen now to when you guys talk to me and say the things that you say, and when you reminisce back down your childhood.
I think when you did start to go to college for, like, child development, I think that's when the changes started to happen, when you started to realize, like, oh, like, this is psychological, like, you can, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Like,
and you're exactly right. That taught me a lot. I'm like, it taught me about parenting and there's really no book on parenting, but me going to college and taking child development, it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about kids and things you shouldn't do, or the way you should try to do things, or redirect if something is not right, and you can redirect your child to change whatever's wrong. It